Give me a hand, Rich.
Come on up here.
Thank you, sir.
You bet, brother. I love you.
What a good job. Thank you. Thank you, John, so very much. Mighty kind words. I do appreciate them. And thank you, Molly. Where's Molly? That was great. You have no idea how little I had to do the day we talked on the telephone. So you filled my day, and I appreciate it. John, thank you, and thank Peter, and thank Richard for working me into the agenda, albeit at the tail end. Seriously, I can't tell you how pleased I am to be here with all of you, because it's fun to hang out with winners. It really is. I think that after the year you had in 2010, you should give yourselves another hand. Thank you for lots of things, little things that add up to success. Thank you for getting out of the bed every day, hitting the streets. Thank you for making the call and the call and the call. And thank you for listening to our customers and taking care of their needs. Thank you for making it easy for them to give us the business, the order, the next heartbeat of our company. Thanks for asking for the order. And thank you for representing in your slice of the world what Interface stands for. In summary, thank you for being you. And thanks from me to your spouses or your significant others, too, for kicking you out of bed every morning to start the process that makes you individually and collectively the winners that you are. Speaking of winners, how about those three new members of the $50 Million Club, Jim Brown, Ian Dewar, Dennis Upshaw? And how about the 7 charter members of the $75 Million Club, Joe Foley, Rick Smith, Paul Dudek, Jim Sedlacek, Larry Boyle, David Hill, Steve Savage. Such phenomenal success over the years. You just have to love it. Congratulations to all of you who were recognized, too many to recognize by name during awards night, but AEs of the year, I can't miss congratulating David Hill and Lenny Lundstrom and William Potolivo, and did I get that right, William? And Mayu Rodriguez. I've never seen so many of our people over quota. That was wonderful too. And Jennifer McNeil for the Sustainability Sales Award. I have to get that in, Jennifer. Good work to all our teammates. Also, I want to thank Dan for his kind remarks on Monday morning. I read his speech, and I felt really quite flattered. Maybe I should take a minute and bring you up to date on me so you know firsthand. The best indicator of how I'm doing is a CT scan that I get every 3 months at MD Anderson in Houston. The last 2 have been, frankly, heading in the wrong direction. In between scans, the doctors follow the blood marker called CEA, that stands for carcinoembryonic antigen, CEA. It's an analog to the cancer's activity in my liver. Incidentally, though the cancer is in my liver, it's not cancer of the liver. It metastasized to the liver from some other unknown origin the doctors have never found the primary site. They think my immune system cured that, but not before the cancer had metastasized to my liver. The very first regimen of chemotherapy that I was on worked really well, 8 treatments over about 18 weeks. My CEA went from a high of 256 to a low of 2.5, a 99% reduction, actually into the normal range for cancer-free people. But the chemo was neurotoxic, and I developed neuropathy, that's numbness in the hands and the feet, which can become crippling. So the doctors changed that medication, and actually 5 times. And none of those changes has been as effective as the original, and my CEA has skyrocketed to a level higher than the previous high. The CEA is still increasing, meaning the cancer is still advancing. And the scans continue to confirm this. The doctors, however, seem confident that my current chemo will get on top of it. I can only hope they are right. The third indicator of is how I feel. In general, my appetite, my weight gain or loss, I continue to feel fine, except when my blood counts get low. The chemo attacks blood counts, particularly hemoglobin. And the chemo affects both the red cell counts and the white cell counts and the platelet counts as well. That's the element in your blood that causes clotting. And altogether, I've had more than 20 transfusions or shots to augment or stimulate the bone marrow to produce those blood cells. When my blood counts are good, I feel good. And that's a good thing and a good sign. And I have gained weight throughout the whole chemotherapy, which is ridiculous. One more thing, the chemo undoubtedly affects memory. Temporarily, they say, I hope. But the most noticeable effect has been this unaided recall of names. So when we meet, if I can't say your name, don't be offended. Just please help me by saying it for me. And please don't be offended. I could forget my mother's name. So that's the story. What's the bottom line for me? I wish I knew whether I can keep the beast at bay or even beat it, while we will be determined by good doctors and good medicines and lots of positive thinking and prayers and my own strength. The answer lies in that combination. And I do appreciate your positive thoughts and prayers. Thank you, John Wells, for setting aside that time on Tuesdays. I appreciate it more than you know. And I'm positive that it helps. I hope you'll keep it up. Life is replete with uncertainties. My life no more than yours, no more, no less. I think we must all hope that our lives will have counted for something good during our brief visit to this blue and green living planet called Earth. The third planet from a star named Sol. What our lives count for is our legacy. For me, the first thought is the family. My wife, Pat, my 2 daughters, Marianne and Harriet, their 5 children, Jay, John, and Patrick Lanier, Melissa and McCall Langford, and now Melissa's daughter, Bailey Isabel Heflin, my great-grandchild. And then there is this third child of mine named Interface. It's now 38 years old. It has grown up to be something of which I am very, very proud. And I have you to thank for that, beginning with Dan and John's counterparts in Europe and Asia Pacific, and extending to every one of you and your associates around the world. David Oakey, you are all family to me. For the last 16 years, this third child of mine has been on a course that's very dear to me, climbing that mountain called Mount Sustainability. I can no longer say whether I'll be around to view the to see the view from the top, but I want you to see it. I want you to see the day when the interface model, business model, has become the default business model of the most successful companies on earth. I want you to feel the joy of having led the transformation of the worldwide industrial system. I want you to enjoy the prize that goes with being among the very first to reach the summit of Mount Sustainability. I want you to appreciate, truly appreciate the wisdom of doing well by doing good and the huge shift in thinking that has led us on this journey. So let's revisit some old ground. As a 76-year-old great-grandfather, I presume I qualify as an elder, and as such can take some liberties in what I say under the heading Learned Wisdom. So the learned wisdom I want to leave you with today is in three parts. The first is this: questions can have great power. It was a question that our customers were asking in the summer of 1994 that led us at Interface to our sustainability mission. The question, what is your company doing for the environment? It was in seeking to answer this tough-to-face question that we opened up the most amazing wellspring of innovation we've ever seen in our company. The quest for sustainability, zero environmental footprint, zero impact, has turned out to be so right and so smart in environmental terms and in pure business terms. For one thing, it's had a profound effect on organizational cohesiveness. A shared higher purpose will do that. Moreover, our costs are down, not up. Our products are the best they've ever been. Thank you again, David Oakey. And the goodwill of the marketplace is enormously gratifying. Truly, we have discovered that it really is possible to do well by doing good, and that this is a better business model in every way. Secondly, in my 55 years of business experience, I've come to realize that creativity in an organization is unleashed by bold, visionary leadership that sets aspirations so high they take the breath away. I once talked to a NASA scientist, and you've heard me say this before, during that period after the Apollo series of moonshots. He told me NASA was floundering, beset with low morale. People who had put men on the moon were bailing out. When I asked him why, he made the most surprising statement. He said that President Kennedy's challenge to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade of the 70s and return him, of the 60s, and return him to Earth safely turned out to be too easy. Too easy. Kennedy's vision, as ambitious as it had seemed, was not ambitious enough. Having put men on the moon, NASA had nothing more to challenge them. I had that very much in mind when we launched our sustainability initiative in Interface in 1994. I challenged our people to go clear to the top of Mount Sustainability, the point at the top representing, symbolizing that zero footprint, that zero environmental impact. And later on we settled for the year 2020 as the year by which we would reach that goal. Believe me, it is a very high mountain, as we are finding out, higher than Everest. Today we call this initiative Mission Zero. And 16 years later, we're some 60% of the way to the summit, zero footprint, with 10 years, maybe 9 years now to go. Remembering Kennedy, I also challenged the people of Interface, that little original task force, to go beyond sustainable and make Interface a restorative company, doing good for the earth, not just no harm, and putting back more than we ourselves take. When the original task force heard that, they responded with incredulity. They said, that sounds like perpetual motion. How the hell do you do that? Notice another question. How do you do that? We talked about it, and we concluded that if we could develop a clear meaning of sustainability as a goal for Interface and could begin to move in a demonstrable, credible, measurable, transparent way toward that goal, we just might influence others to do the same thing, to move also, and that's how we could become restorative. Not just by what we did, but through the power of influence, what we influence others to do as well, even our competitors. As weird as it sounds, the interface has a long way to go to the top of Mount Sustainability, that 40% or so that's left. I expect that we're already restorative through the power of our influence. Impossible, you perhaps think, but as Amy Levins, chief scientist at Rocky Mountain Institute, says, if something exists, hell, it must be possible. Here's my punchline. If we, a billion-dollar global petro-intensive company can do it, it's possible, and anybody else can do it too. And if anybody else can do it, it follows that everybody can. I would pose two more questions to set up my third point. What is the key issue for any organization setting out on this journey? Furthermore, why isn't every organization already on the path? A very smart woman named Dana Meadows put her finger on the answer, and it is the key point for the remainder of my comments. Dana was one of the smartest people I have known, a biophysicist, an expert systems analyst, an author, a syndicated columnist, a college professor at Dartmouth, and a farmer. And she died tragically early from some strange viral infection, but Dana in her prime published this elegant paper. Many of you have seen it before, Places to Intervene in a System in Increasing Order of Effectiveness. And in sort of David Letterman fashion, 9, 8, 7, 6, she listed the places to intervene in increasing order of effectiveness, beginning with number 9 and working down or up, if you will, to number 1, the most effective place to intervene. Number 9 on the list, the least effective place that even makes the list, is the one where we spend so much of our time adjusting the resources going to the system, the numbers, the money, the people, more of this and less of that, subsidies and taxes. But working down or up the list toward more effective, we find such things as adjusting the regulating negative feedback loops of the system, and more effective is driving the positive feedback loops of the system, and still more effective is changing the goals of the system. But the number 1 on the list, the most effective place to intervene in a system, according to this brilliant woman, is to challenge and change the mindset behind the system, the paradigm, the perception of reality, the mental model of how things are that underlies the system in the first place. Dana says this is the most effective place to intervene and change things, but she also acknowledges that it's the hardest place to intervene. I suggest that Dana was talking about Einstein's different levels of awareness when he said we'll never solve our problems with the same level of awareness that created them. Now, we have systems all around us. Within this global technosphere, we have our transportation systems, our communication systems, our production systems, our computer systems. I heard you laugh about that one. We have our production planning systems, our management systems, our building systems, our systems of government, our accounting systems, our legal system, our educational systems, our systems for managing our households, our regulatory systems, our healthcare system, our banking system, and more and more and more. Altogether, these comprise the industrial system that has arisen out of the Industrial Revolution, and we are all part of it. So then, to the crux of the matter, what is our culture's mindset that underlies the industrial system today? And is it an accurate view of reality? Well, it seems to me that culture with all of its taboos and assumptions and mores is a reflection of a society's mindset. So what about the mindset that underlies our culture? What is society's general view of reality? The prevailing paradigm, I strongly suggest that we have been and still are in the grips of a flawed view of reality, a flawed paradigm, a flawed worldview that pervades our culture, putting us on a biological collision course with true reality. It is the paradigm that is reflected in our culture's infatuation with stuff. It's the paradigm that we at Interface hope to replace with a better one. The truth of a new paradigm doesn't just spring into existence. It will have been there all along, just obscured by the old flawed view of reality. The earth was always round, even when everybody knew it was flat. It always circled the sun, even when everyone knew it was the center of the universe. The divine rights of kings were considered to be the natural law, even as revolution was fomenting in the New World. That old flawed view of reality that I refer to is the one that treats Earth as if it were infinite in its ability to supply the stuff to feed the industrial system's metabolism, when clearly, for one example, oil's coming peak sooner or later, but surely whether it's 10 years or 50 years or 650 years, reminds us vividly that Earth is finite, or treats Earth as if it were an infinite sink into which to pour our waste, no matter how much, no matter how poisonous, including greenhouse gases, into the atmosphere. A sustainable society into the indefinite future will accept, honor, and preserve the fragile finiteness of Earth. That old flawed view of reality is the one that adopts as its relevant time frame for caring about the consequences of our decisions the lifetime of a human being, more likely the working life, rather than recognizing the true long-term evolutionary time that holds onto the notion that Earth was made for humankind to conquer and rule, to take whatever we want from nature without regard for the other species that depend on, even comprise nature itself, nature of which we too are a part, not above, not beyond or separate. Surely what we do to the web of life, we do to ourselves. A sustainable society will adopt the truly long view and put humans in right relationship with and within nature. The old flawed view of reality holds that technology coupled with left-brain human intelligence will see us through without addressing the extractive, abusive attributes of technology that are part of the problem, and without appreciating the right-brain attributes of technology, of intelligence, that include the human spirit. A sustainable society will build on the ascendancy of women in business, in professions, in government, and education, for this is one of the most encouraging trends of all, as women bring their right-brain nurturing nature to bear on the seemingly intractable challenges created by us left-brain dominant pragmatic men with our preoccupation with bottom lines and other practical considerations. After all, it's the practical and pragmatic that got us into this mess, and surely a different kind of thinking is needed to get us out. Einstein again. That old flawed view of reality holds that the invisible hand of the market is an honest broker, when it's clear that the market can be very dishonest if it is blind to the externalities, as it establishes prices that the price of a pack of cigarettes reflect its true cost, not close. The price of a barrel of oil not within $150 a barrel, considering the cost of wars in the Middle East and the climate disruption that results from burning that oil. The difference between the market price and the true cost is considered an externality by the economists. In their way of thinking, externalities don't count. Yet the invisible hand is blind as a bat if prices are dishonest? What kind of broker or allocator of resources can it be stumbling along in its blindness? This is, I submit, the great flaw in the revered market economy. A sustainable society will insist on ecologically honest prices, internalizing those externalities and letting a sighted market work for sustainability rather than against sustainability. The old flawed view of reality holds that increasing labor productivity is the route to abundance for all, when it's obvious in a world of diminishing nature and increasing human population that the route to abundance for all is through increasing natural resource productivity. For example, using those precious organic petrochemical molecules over and over. That's the logic behind all recycling efforts, including our own re-entry program. Even inorganic materials have embodied energy that can be salvaged. And one very important result of increasing resource productivity is that it generally puts people to work in the process. A sustainable society will respect nature's limits and draw inspiration from them for the innovative ways to conserve resources and simultaneously address poverty. For clearly the greatest moral, ethical, and technical challenge humankind faces is to lift the poorest among us out of grinding poverty while healing our already badly damaged earth. The old flawed view of reality holds that happiness is to be found in abundance and material wealth, the trappings of affluence. When we know that there is more to happiness than more stuff, we know that consumerism will not bring us real happiness, despite the message with which we and our children are bombarded to saturation through advertising. A sustainable society will seek a higher level of awareness and transcendent meaning in life, more true happiness with less stuff. The old flawed view of reality, the Milton Friedman view, holds to the belief that business exists to make a profit, when we know in our hearts that that is backwards. Business makes a profit to exist, and it can and surely must exist for some higher purpose. Who among us really expects to stand before her or his maker someday and talk about shareholder value, a market share, or clever manipulation of a gullible public? A sustainable society will realize that done right, the triple bottom line of corporate social responsibility, economy, environment, social equity, can come together under the banner of authenticity to create a truly superior, totally ethical financial bottom line, a better way to bigger and more legitimate profits, a better business model that will attract and compel businesses everywhere. The old flawed view of reality holds that the environment is a subset of the economy. You know, the pollution part. In our new enlightenment, we acknowledge that the economy is the wholly owned subsidiary of the environment. To quote the late Senator Gaylord Nelson, the environment is the parent. The environment's the parent. The economy is the child, and it is not the other way around, the way most of our economists still seem to believe. A sustainable society will develop a system of economics, a subsidiary, that gets the prices right economically and ecologically by internalizing the externalities, and thus jealously protects the true parent, nature, the goose that lays all the golden eggs. For you tell me, what business, what city, what economy, what civilization can survive without clean water, clean air, soil creation, thus food, materials, energy, climate regulation, an ultraviolet radiation shield without which every living thing would die, water purification and distribution, the hydrologic cycle, nutrient cycling, the carbon cycle, including photosynthesis, pollination, seed dispersal, flood and insect control, and more, all supplied by nature. Take away any of those and there would be very little economy left. Truly, nature is the goose that lays all the golden eggs. And as we learned as children from the goose and Jack and the Beanstalk, we must not squeeze nature to death. At Interface, our high calling that takes the breath away is to shift that paradigm, beginning in our own minds and our own company. The power of a question. Here's my last question for you. Will we, the larger collective we, shift paradigms and do it in time? Truly embrace the new view of reality. That is the question of our era. The hell of it is, it's up to us, to you, to me. And that is why Interface is being called by some truly knowledgeable people the most important company on earth. It's only right that if you create the legacy, you should share it. I truly hope you feel that you do share it. And do you know what? There is something more important than one person or 4,000 persons' legacy. This commitment that we've made won't stop when Interface achieves its 2020 goal. There must be another goal, the pursuit of which keeps us bonded to one another, building on the success of that thought to be impossible mountain climb. I don't know what it will be. I may not have the time or the vision to know, but this I do know. When the year 2020 gets here, it will not mark the end of time or the end of Interface's journey or the maturing of Interface's destiny. 2020 will mark a way station on the journey to fulfilling our company's ultimate purpose. So I say to you, dream big, work hard, keep hustling, do good, not just no harm, and have fun along the way. I will be with you every step of the way, in body and then in spirit. God bless you. Give me a hand before I fall on my face. Thank you, got it. Thanks, Lord.
Welcome to New Orleans. We know that taking 4 days away from your family and 4 days away from your territory is a lot. So when you're here, we want you to get the most out of it that you possibly can. You're going to see collaboration, dialogue, and we're also going to have some fun. I mean, this is Interface and this is New Orleans, so how can we not?
1, 2, 3, turn around. Don't you watch me now, just turn around. Touch your knees, don't look, just turn around. Do it now, walk right through that door. 1, 2, 3, don't you watch me.
Welcome back.
Do it now, walk right through that door.
We take putting this meeting together really serious. It's a product, you're the customer.
The new products you will see this week are phenomenal. They're some of the best that we've ever done.
You're going to get to dialogue with your peers. You're going to have dialogue with Ken Rickman, Jeff Roman, Jim Sedlacek on how to use the iPad.
The next 5 years, I think we'll refer to broad